"I won't allow it," the father of the family declared angrily. "This man is targeting our family." In the tense silence that followed as he caught his breath, the older brother spoke up. "So what do you plan to do about my sister's engagement?" "It's over, of course. It's only natural," the father replied. "I want you to have no further dealings with my son." The brother, remaining calm, responded, "Let's consider the engagement with my sister as if it never existed. Is that acceptable to you? There's no need to stress over it. It's a waste of time. People don't understand their place." He added with a hint of curiosity, "I'd really like to see the face of their parents. You probably see them often, don't you?" The father looked puzzled, and the brother continued, "My name is Tilly. I like it, though I don't know how it was chosen or who named me. By the time I became aware of myself, I rarely saw my parents. My father was an executive at a major electronics manufacturer, and my mother was a board member. They use a hotel near the company as a substitute for home, rarely returning to our actual house. My brother and I were left alone, almost abandoned, in a grand home that hid our situation from the neighborhood." He recalled, "I remember a little girl my mother brought home when I was 5. Her name was Carol. She became my sister, but like us, she was left to fend for herself. At the time, it seemed normal, though looking back, it was far from it. My brother, only 7, took on the responsibility of caring for us. Our mother made occasional appearances for appearances' sake, but we relied entirely on our brother." Tilly continued, "Carol, who had excelled in school, was suddenly taken away by our parents. It was unexpected. My mother, impressed by Carol's beauty and intelligence, decided to raise her as the daughter of a wealthy family. Disappointed with my brother's poor academic performance, they planned to use Carol to find a competent successor. I later realized they were strategically selecting the successor. My brother's poor performance was due to his responsibilities at home, not a lack of ability. Thanks to him, we were able to go to school and play with friends normally. Yet our parents never recognized his sacrifices. Eventually, it was just my brother and me again. By the time I graduated from middle school, we received a notice that the enrollment fee for the private high school I intended to attend hadn't been paid. I have no intention of spending money on an incompetent child, my mother told my brother, and she stopped providing financial support shortly after. My brother, having anticipated this, immediately withdrew from his own high school and began homeschooling me. He started working at a company I had never heard of and used his earnings to cover my enrollment fee. From then on, he was my sole supporter. Determined to make the most of his sacrifice, I studied diligently and managed to earn a scholarship to university. Maintaining my grades was crucial to lessen the burden on my brother, so I balanced a busy schedule of part-time jobs and studies. My social life was minimal, but as I neared the end of my studies, I suddenly found myself with friends. Throughout school, I was serious about my studies, keeping meticulous notes to make the most of my limited time. Some classmates, recognizing the quality of my notes, began approaching me for help. I found it amusing and perplexing to see people who only appeared around finals asking to borrow my notes. They became so popular that they were often not returned, and tracking them down was a hassle. Often, I didn't even know who had them until I finally got the names, which were usually unfamiliar. As exams approached, a senior male student came searching for me. He had noticed an unfamiliar girl's name on the notes he borrowed from a friend and wanted to find out more. He introduced himself as Gary. I was surprised to see that Gary's name was different from those of my friends. With the finals approaching, I asked, "Are you okay?" "I usually study a lot, so I should be fine," he replied with a reassuring smile. "But it's nice to have the chance to review. Thank you." At that time, I didn't realize Gary was a popular senior among both genders and the son of an executive at a well-known company. "I'd be happy to borrow your notes again," he said, still smiling. His charm was undeniable, and even after learning about my background, he remained unchanged in his attitude toward me. It seemed that Gary liked me too. We began to greet each other during lectures and eventually started attending classes together. Our relationship grew, and we started dating. Despite being surrounded by people who flattered him due to his popularity, Gary was deeply concerned about the pressures of his parents' expectations and the envy that came with potential job offers through connections. I wasn't concerned with social appearances or pretenses, which seemed to give Gary some relief. Even though I was too busy to share my family situation with friends, I couldn't keep it hidden from Gary. He listened without pity and expressed a genuine desire to help whenever I was in trouble. His supportive nature made me fall for him all over again. After graduating, Gary joined his father's company as planned. The following year, I graduated and started working at a trading company. 2 years later, we got engaged. Gary arranged a dinner at a high-end restaurant for both families to meet. On the day of the meeting, my brother attended in place of my parents who couldn't make it. As soon as the meal began, Gary's father voiced his dissatisfaction. "What's the meaning of this?" he exclaimed. "The parents aren't here of such an important day. It's inexcusable and rude." Gary tried to mediate desperately, but I stopped him. It was important for me to explain that my brother had to work to support my education. Despite my heartfelt explanation, Gary's father remained unmoved. "You dropped out," he said harshly. "It's unthinkable for someone of such low status to join our family." He then took my brother's business card and tore it up, accusing us of being after their money. "I won't allow our family to be targeted by this man." Gary's father raged, his fury palpable. Amid his anger, my brother remained calm and during a brief silence, finally spoke up. "So what do you intend to do about the engagement with my sister?" "It's off, obviously. I want you to have nothing more to do with our son," Gary's father responded sharply. Both Gary and I were taken aback by this unexpected turn of events. My brother, however, remained unflustered. "There's no need to insist," he said coolly. "It's a complete waste of time. People don't understand their place. I'd really like to see the face of their parents." Gary's father looked puzzled. "You're always looking at them," my brother added calmly, which only confused Gary's father further. Regarding the broken engagement, my brother continued, "I'll convey it directly to Carol Smith. You've met Carol a few times, haven't you?" Gary's father was visibly shocked. "Carol? You mean Carol Smith? You're related to her?" "Yes," my brother revealed. "Carol is my sister." Gary's parents went pale at this revelation. "So you're the president's son who went missing?" Gary's father asked, astonished. My brother responded with a rueful smile. "That's how they know about me. The company where you and Gary work is run by our parents." Though this coincidence was surprising, it was not as shocking as discovering my connection to Carol after so many years. I was left wondering why my brother needed to relay something to her. He continued, "Tilly, I'm sorry. There were some things I had been keeping from you. I thought it wouldn't be a problem if the engagement went smoothly. Actually, there had been discussions about an engagement between Gary and Carol, which neither you nor Gary knew about." I was stunned by this revelation. My brother's story was not yet over. "In fact, I've been in contact with Carol recently, but only for business-related reasons," he added. "I couldn't tell you about this earlier," my brother began. "Carol mentioned that there was a marriage proposal. According to her, during their communications, she discussed the engagement, which was supposed to be with Gary, the man I was initially set to be engaged to. I had suspected that Gary had moved on to another woman, but upon Carol's investigation, it turned out that this engagement was something our parents were orchestrating behind the scenes. Carol had independently obtained this information, but there had been no formal notice of engagement from our parents. It appears Gary was not informed about this arrangement and likely did not know about the double booking. Thus, my brother and Carol concluded that the engagement between me and Gary made the most sense given the circumstances. So, under these circumstances, it's reasonable to call off the engagement between Gary and Carol, right?" my brother said, offering a gentle smile to Gary's father. "The matter with Carol should be irrelevant. It was decided among our parents after all. You were the one who mentioned calling off the engagement with my sister, or are you implying that Carol isn't my sister?" "No, that's not what I meant," Gary's father stammered. "Let's have Carol inform our parents about this discussion. Since the engagement was arranged by them, it shouldn't matter if we, the children, choose to ignore it. As for the engagement between Gary and Tilly, I'll leave that decision to them," my brother said calmly. His tone was peaceful, but to Gary's father, it might have sounded like a threat. The shock on Gary's father's face grew as he processed the implications. "You've repeatedly said you wanted to sever ties with my family," my brother continued. "This means I can only interpret this as a declaration that you don't want your company involved in the crucial line construction project I'm pushing forward," my brother said firmly. "What line construction project?" Gary's father asked, taken aback. He scrambled to pick up the torn business card of my brother. Upon seeing the company name on the card, his face turned even paler. After dropping out of public high school, my brother had started working at the core holding company of a trading and logistics group. This company was a key player in the group, focusing on internal operations and not widely known outside the industry. Through his hard work, my brother had caught the attention of the president, received a de facto handover from the outgoing president, and made significant contributions to the company's expansion. Currently, I support my brother at the same company using the language skills I acquired at university. The line construction project my brother mentioned involved prioritizing the supply of industrial materials, particularly those based on semiconductor materials, to our parent's company. Initially, the performance of the partner company was subpar, and while my brother might not have been personally invested in their proposal, he handled it with a professional approach. He always took his responsibilities seriously and considered all aspects, including Carol's role. It was unexpected for my brother to find Carol in a key position for this project. After graduating from university, Carol had joined our parents' company and risen to a business executive role, having excelled academically. When they reunited after a long time, Carol and my brother exchanged information and identified several issues. One of these was the overlapping engagements with Gary, which had already been resolved. The other issue was related to the pipeline construction project. For my brother, this project was crucial for proving the integrity and reliability of the supply chain. Before the founder and benefactor of the company retired, he aimed to ensure both peace of mind and continued business growth. To achieve this, he wanted to evaluate the operational capabilities of the partner companies and, more importantly, the qualities of their executives. Carol, who had grown into an intelligent and virtuous person, might have influenced our parents' approach to handling people or even contributed to their personal growth. My brother used his business acumen to objectively assess the situation, turning our engagement meeting into an opportunity for evaluation. Our parents showed little interest in the meeting and made no effort to get to know my partner. The true nature of Gary's father became clear through his behavior towards subordinates and the increasing gossip about him. The current character of his friends and our parents also became evident. Gary's father, realizing the gravity of the situation, said, "If that contract is lost, our company will forfeit $500 million in sales." He apologized profusely. My brother calmly responded, "As you wish, we shall not meet again." Before standing up, Gary took my hand and we rose to leave. Whether his whisper, "Let's leave them and get married," reached his paralyzed parents is uncertain. Afterward, Gary and I married, and he severed ties with his parents, leaving the company. He is now supporting my brother and contemplating starting his own business. I am committed to supporting him in this new venture. Our parents' company, burdened with debt, faced imminent bankruptcy. Executives resigned one after another, including Gary's father. Our parents, who had once claimed the honor of raising us, showed up at my brother's house. He repaid a small amount of child support and then cut off ties with them. I decided to follow his example. Surprisingly, our sister Carol took on the challenge of reviving the nearly bankrupt company. "I can't abandon the future of our employees," she declared with the resolve of a business executive. My brother and I pledged to support Carol with all our might. I am now living in the house where I grew up with Gary. My brother renovated it and gifted it to us. We are expecting our small family to grow soon, and I am determined not to neglect raising our child.